Yo, welcome back to the Larry Ohh Show. Got my co-host with me.
What's going on? It's John Phelps.
And I'm Larry Ohh. This is an FL Studio podcast where we talk about everything FL Studio and music production related. It's been a crazy week. You know, there's a lot of FL Studio news that we're going to get into. So this episode is going to be jam-packed. We're going to be doing a bunch of stuff. We're going to talk some FL Studio news.
Yes, sir.
Making some headlines with some crazy technology that they're dropping in the next one. But before we get into all of that, we're going to talk about the giveaway, the big giveaway. Everybody seemed to be liking it in the last episode. Comments was going crazy with the key phrase, keyword. So we're going to run that again. So just like all the previous, if you missed it, we do giveaways every single week. What we're going to be doing now is giving away to 5 producers in the comments. Somewhere in this podcast, I'm going to mention a keyword or a key phrase. You comment the keyword or key phrase, and you're going to be entered to win all of my entire catalog of courses. So FL Studio courses, mixing, mastering, production, vocal hacking courses, you name it, it's in there. So 5 producers in the comments will get my entire course catalog. And all you got to do to enter it is get the key phrase and enter it into the comments on YouTube. So with that being said, also the winners from last week, I'm going to be announcing those and doing those on the podcast later on in this episode. So stay tuned. If you want to know if you won, we're going to be announcing the winners on the podcast for the first time. We're going to try that out as well.
That's going to be sick.
Yeah, I'm just going to go through the comments. I'm going to show you how random it is. Literally go through the comments and I scroll. I don't look at it and I just stop. And I'll pick winners just like that. So it's completely random. Yeah, so I mean, we can get into the FL Studio news.
Yeah.
Some big news. I don't know if you've been hearing.
I heard that chord generator is crazy.
Crazy. So
nuts.
I came across this randomly too. I wish I could put like notifications on for the forums. I don't know if people do it like that, but that's where the news drops first. It's the forum. ImageLine forum has always been there since day one. That's how I learned a lot on FL Studio. So if you're not familiar, I think it's forums.imageline.com, something like that. All the news gets dropped there first. So apparently on March 8th, they announced the beta for 21.3. And there's a handful of new features, plugins. And the main thing that I was just blown away by is the AI or automatic chord generation. So it's in the beta. You can download the beta version and you can mess around with it. It's pretty dope.
Yeah, I was seeing that. And one question I had, because I haven't messed around with it yet, but is it, what are they, like the 3-note chords, or can you add more?
No, you can add more notes to it.
You can add more in? Hell yeah.
Yep. So it's inside the piano roll. So in order to do it, you just go to the piano roll of whatever plugin you have, go to the drop-down menu, go to Tools, then go to Generate Chord Progression, or you can hit Alt and P. Alt and P. And I'm guessing, like, if you already have a beat or a song, you can hit Analyze, and it will analyze the rest of the song. I'm assuming. I haven't got to that yet. I need to try that out. Because this is so fresh, it's so new that I've been able to dive into creating some chords a little bit.
Right.
But as far as the analyze button, you see, right now it's grayed out. And I assume, like, if you have more stuff going on, it won't be grayed out and you can hit analyze. But right now there's a generate button and there's an analyze button. And then you also have, right away, it gives you a set of 4 chords. So it's like a triad with a bass note on every single chord by default.
Yeah. So I wonder with that analyze button, if you could say, like, use that instrument extractor and then analyze that.
Say that again.
So, like, you know how you can take the recording and then analyze that, or like extract the stems from that to make, like, you know, the MIDI out of it and then analyze those files. That's
interesting. That would be crazy.
Right.
Yeah, I'm wondering if it analyzes it like that. Like if it analyzes the key of your entire song. Like how does it, I'm wondering how it does that. I'm going to have to dive into it a little bit more.
For sure. That's just
because right now it's grayed out. I don't know if it's grayed out because this is beta or if it's grayed out because I have nothing else going on in this beat right now. You know what I mean?
So you're in the piano roll and it's grayed out in the piano roll. Is anything in like the MIDI?
Right now, there's chords that it instantly drops in because right when you open up that chord generator, it just, boom, it gives you the window of the chord generator, and then you can instantly see the chords inside your piano roll right away too. Weird. So they're there already, and you can preview them. This is what it gave me by default. So it's going to go by whatever plugin you have it on. Right now it's just FL
That's
keys.
Sick.
But then you can also like hover over each chord block. So there's just like 4 blocks, right? Little squares. for 4 chords, and you can hover over it and then go to the right side of it, and you can trim it back. So you can make it a quarter or a half, you know,
Yeah.
and you can make it double the length. You can make it half the length, a quarter of the length, and then you can even add more chords in there.
I
And then
wonder if you would have like a empty, so you would have that piano roll, maybe like have it blank, and then if you had stuff in the playlist,
Mhm.
then maybe the analyze button would
that's
be,
probably how the analyze would work.
you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Because I'm
Or
trying to
maybe
think
it's within
about
the
it. Yeah,
same
like,
pattern. Maybe it's
mm.
stuff that's going on within the same pattern.
Either way, it's fucking
know?
sick. Like
Yeah.
that's a really cool feature.
Yeah, it's wild, bro.
And
Let me pull
that's a
this little
really
bit closer.
like not common, but like it's becoming more popular. Like these sort of like analytical
Mhm.
tools. You can find like the key of a song.
Mhm.
Like early on, we were doing like Captain Keys or mixed in key stuff like
Yeah,
that.
I mean, I still use mixed in key.
I use mixed in key every song.
Yeah,
Yeah,
and
hell
it's
yeah.
like that's a part of my workflow, especially if I get a song from somebody that maybe they're sending me vocals. They're like, "Hey, can you make a beat around this?" Or
Yeah.
even if it's just somebody that wants me to mix their song, and I don't know the key right off the bat. I don't have perfect pitch like that at all, not even close. So I couldn't even tell you. It would be a straight up guess if I had to guess what key.
Mixed in
that was
key
in.
is the sauce.
It goes on every single
That's
song
the-
that I'm mixing from somebody else. If
That's
I
the
don't already
best
know it.
plugin. That's the
Yep.
best plugin that I ever got that was like third party,
Mhm.
and I paid for. The mixed in key was
I
the
love that.
shit.
I
Yep.
love that plugin.
I'll put that on like a sample layer instead of the master. I'll just put it on the sample.
Yep.
And then what's cool is like I found out about this. This is a little bit of music theory gem here. Is like you have so like the key might be like, you know, E minor or whatever, and there's what's known as a relative major.
Yeah.
Which is like it shares a lot of the same notes, but it's just like a dynamically like slightly different thing. And I'll sometimes like tune the vocals or whatever to that like relative major just to see how it kind of fits within the thing. Yeah.
I'm trying to think of an example. Like if I go and I'm working on a song, right? And I know that the key of it is in, say, I don't know, say, you know, D sharp minor, but I find a sample that I want to like bring in, but that sample is in major.
Yep.
So in order to transpose it, I would have to know what the relative major of that D sharp. So what is the relative major of D sharp minor?
Right.
So I'd have to find that so that way I can easily transpose that major sample into D sharp minor, but realistically it would be a relative major, if that makes sense. So like
sure.
I had to figure that out. I had to like, I would stay away from ones that weren't minor. So say if I'm working in D sharp minor and I want to pull in a different sample, I would stay away from the majors because I'm like, damn, I can never get them to go.
Yeah, you can't
I can
bend
never
it in there.
I can never just like transpose. I mean, you can, but it's so much easier if you find out what the relative major is.
Yeah.
So that way you could just boom, all right, transpose it from, you know, C major to whatever the hell it is. Back to the chord generator. You can go really in depth with it right off the bat, even though this is the first stage of beta too, by the way. So this isn't like 3 or whatever. They must have had alpha testing it out a little bit, and then boom, this is the first beta version of it. And like I said, you can trim these chords. You can make this go conventional. There's a slide bar on the top. You can go conventional or you could go adventurous. And I guess it just gets a little bit more complex.
That's wild.
Then it has a list of drop-down menus. And like I always say with FL stuff, when they add a feature, so you can, yes, of course, use another chord generating plugin, right? A third party. But what is so dope about it is, I mean, obviously the time and how good these plugins and features are, because realistically, this isn't even a plugin. It's just like I don't know, it's like a pop-up.
Yeah.
It's almost like the strum options now. You know what I'm saying? When you hit Alt S.
Yeah, it's just incorporated right
or
into
the randomizer.
workflow.
Yeah, it's that now. But they put so much time into these, making them so good. And at the same time, it's because it's an FL Studio stock thing, you know your way around it already. You know what I'm saying? Like when you get a third-party plugin, you go out and you buy a plugin, you have to, number one, learn what the plugin's doing. Number two, like learn the workflow of that plugin because it wasn't made by whatever DAW you're using it in. A Newtone is a great example of that for me because when I use Newtone, I'm using it. I know obviously there might be something better than it, right? Melodyne might be better than it. You know, Waves Tune might be better than it.
Sure.
But I'm using Newtone every time because it's an FL Studio stock plugin and I know my way around it. There's no guessing with it. It's the fastest way to get the result because I already know.
Point.
Yeah, it's similar to everything else. The shortcuts are similar to everything else. I know my way around it and I can go from A to B just like that.
For sure.
There's no messing around. But yeah, this thing, it's very similar to, if I had to like compare it to the look, it looks like the mastering options now with the automatic mastering with like the drop down menus and the accept button. Then you have presets that you can bring in. You have a whole list of all these different chord progression presets that you can go through.
Mm.
Then you also have a rhythm. So you can choose a rhythm, like a 3/4 length chord, quarter length chord, shuffles, 1, 2, 3, offbeat, push, drag, cha-cha. And then that's just one tab. You close that tab, you go to manual. So then you can type in a chord progression.
Yeah.
I don't know how you would exactly type it in, but it looked like the other ones were in Roman numerals. So I'm assuming if you type it in like that in that format, that's what you'd have to do. I'd probably stay away from that. Then you have a generate option. You can adjust the temperature, diatonic notes, and it's like a knob. And then you can choose a genre. You got pop, R&B, jazz, house, and metal. Probably gonna add a bunch more because
That
this is
metal.
just beta. Yeah,
Check that metal out, bro.
It's so random. Like,
can you play a metal chord? I want to hear that shit.
In the beta, like, what are the genres that we're gonna throw in beta? Pop,
Yeah.
R&B, jazz, house, and metal.
Death metal. Because with this dude made a really awesome video where he was like, so basically metal is just like classical music chords with distortion on the guitar or like on the string.
Yeah.
And I was like, damn.
Yeah.
And he was playing like just on a clean tone with
Mhm.
his guitar, just playing these different chords. And I was like, yo, I gotta sample these.
Yeah, bro.
I gotta learn how to do these.
Metal's so similar. Like I said, a lot of genres are very, very similar to other genres. The things that really just change it is the tones of
Yeah.
instruments.
Yeah.
So you can have, I did something like this a while back just to prove it. I made a video and said, basically, it's all about the drums.
Mm-hmm.
I made a point that it's mostly about the drums when you're going through and saying, what genre is this? Because I had the same exact melody, same tempo. I didn't change the key. I didn't change the rhythm. I didn't change anything. It was one sample that I dropped in, and then I made a drum pattern in basically the same rhythm, but just different samples.
Yeah.
I might have changed the rhythm for like a house one, right? But the sample never changed.
Mm-hmm.
Only thing that changed was the drums. I did like a metal version, a trap, an EDM, and something else, maybe R&B-ish. But the only thing that changed was the drum samples and the drum pattern slightly in some of them.
Yeah, of course.
And that's all that changed. The melody stayed the same. Genres changed just because of the drums.
Yeah, with the drums, with dance music, especially, like it's just like, yeah, it's all about the drums.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? So like, and then what's crazy is like the drum samples, of course, like just come from like back in the day with like the different hardware that they were using,
Mm-hmm.
and then like, oh man, I don't know. I've been on a huge Tribe Called Quest kick, and just like listening to how those beats were made and all that, I'm just like, man, and like it's just a fingerprint of the time.
Yeah,
you know. And so like what's cool is you have the availability of all these like resources and drum samples and different things, but you can always, with like libraries like what you're getting in FL, just go back and swap out to get a completely different feel for the thing. You could probably like remake Tribe records with like EDM drums.
Yeah, bro.
And be like, dang, this shit hits.
It's true, man. But yeah, that's the gist of the chord generation.
Mm-hmm.
Like I said, you go super in depth with it. I haven't even
so like
gone
what do
through
you
all of
think
it.
based on the workflow that it's in now? Like what do you think is gonna be the utility of this new feature? Like people using it to start finish beats or
Yeah, I mean, I think if I had to go off just a personal usage kind of thing, I think I would start beats with that. Because I think one of my weakest points is like creating some like fire chords. I can create some like good sounding chords, but a lot of times I get stuck and I tend to make like the same styles a lot, you know? So this would kind of just open that up for me a little bit. And I don't know. I feel like it would make me a little bit more creative in a sense, because then I always like to dive in a little bit deeper. So if this can generate something for me on the fly like that, and I can just get even more creative with it, and it'll create a chord progression that I may not have ever thought of, you know, or just like start one and then I can just build on top of it.
Yeah.
Because like I said, you can go really in depth with it here, and you can create some crazy chords in there, right? Before you even hit the accept button. Or you can, like right now, as is, the way this is, I could leave it very basic. And because I'm like, all right, I like this right away, you know, quickness. I'll hit accept. I'll go into the piano roll, and then I'll instantly just like start building on top of that, maybe changing some notes around, maybe adding another layer in there, you know, like switching things around a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it's just, I don't know, I just think it's a great tool for that. And also, like with the analyze button, which we're assuming is going to do what we think it's going to do, is that if you already have, say, you know, you have your beat maybe 30% done, but you need another, like you need something else on top.
Mm-hmm.
It's going to be able to analyze what you already have in there
And fit
and
whatever
add,
it's
because
got,
that's a
yeah.
struggle for a lot of people too, is adding counter melodies.
Mm.
So then you can dial back maybe the amount of layers in the chords, and then you can, I don't know, you can add almost like a counter melody with that thing too.
Mm-hmm.
I think, I don't know, it's just endless.
True.
There's people complaining already because I posted about this already too.
What are they saying? What are they like possibly complaining about?
Like the you know,
Like the cheating
it's
thing?
cheating.
The
That's it for producers. That's it. We're done. They're taking our jobs. We're all done now. Pack it up, boys. We're done. You know what I'm saying?
Make better beats.
Yeah.
Make better beats than the technology is all I can say.
It's just
like,
a tool.
You know what I'm saying?
It's just a tool. People could say
Literally.
the same thing. That it's then I posted this. I posted about
They're
it like 2 days in a row.
punching the air right now, bro.
I posted about it 2 days in a row because the next day I'm waking up and I'm seeing the comments and I'm seeing like the majority of people. Don't get me wrong, majority of people are happy about it. I'm happy about it. I love it. Another great tool that we have in our toolboxes, right? But then there's the handful. So I went on Twitter, I made another post. I posted that on Instagram, and I was just like, basically the gist of that was, to the people that are mad about this, I think it's the same type of people and producers that were mad and engineers that were mad at the invention of the DAW.
Mm.
So if you're mad about this and you can see the stupid argument people had when the creation of the DAW came into play, then I think you're you're kind of contradicting yourself in a bit. Because what's the difference in the grand scheme of things when people were like, all right, like you have to engineer this song with a roll of tape, you know, you have to have a tape recorder, you have to have this, you have to have this big analog board.
Yeah.
When then, you know, DAWs came into play and now everything's moving digital.
Right.
And there's this handful of engineers and producers being like, nah, that's cheating. You have to sit there and you have to, you know, to make a cut or whatever, you have to like physically tape it versus you just cutting it with a mouse.
Right. And those dudes are just like kind of assuming that this tool is going to like replace making beats the way that people have been. Like, one thing that I have been thinking about is like, so we talked to Lauren the other week and she's like just locked in with her style of making beats and how her workflow goes.
Mhm.
Like, this isn't going to be like, oh, well, now this is going to be how everybody makes beats. It's like, no, it's just something that if this is like kind of how you want to make beats, then it's there for you.
Yeah.
And it's a tool.
Mhm.
So like familiarize yourself with it. But a lot of this like hype, either in like the negative sense or the positive sense, comes from people thinking that it's just going to like eclipse what's already there and just like totally replace it. A lot of the stuff that gets introduced is not hard replacing anything.
Mm-mm.
It's just like adding to what is going
Yeah.
on within the creative sphere. Like people, it's
And if you're mad at this, you should be mad at loops. And if you're mad at loops, then you should be mad at a mouse. You know, you should be mad at like all these different things that we have that can make our jobs easier.
Yeah.
Like, what are you mad at? Just make music.
Yeah.
It's not, like you said, it's not going to directly just replace a producer. It's not. People are going crazy with that. I'm like, you're talking about a chord generator in here? Like,
Yeah.
FL Studio has had stuff similar to this, just not an automatic thing.
Right.
You know, I mean, you could go into the type to keyboard and
Mhm.
just press one key and it writes you a chord. So I'm
Mhm.
like, what's the difference here? Like, this is nothing drastically new. We've had plugins. We were talking about mixed in key, like the Captain plugin suite.
Yep.
At least 5 years.
Right.
It's probably older than that. That technology is probably 10 years old by now. What are we complaining about? Just make the music. Just make good music, because it's not going to just instantly make great music for you.
Right. Like, not for nothing, but like when I hear those chords, it's like those are just like some basic starting block chords. So if you think
Yeah.
that's replacing you, then it's like, brother, you gotta pick up
Yeah.
a trade, bro. Pick up a trade, because this ain't for
Facts.
you. If you thinking you're getting replaced by that,
Yeah.
that's just helping you out, bro.
There's
like
something-
you want
there's,
to
like-
help something, dude.
I talked about it last week, and what I said was, it's if this is AI, I don't know if they're calling it AI. It's an automatic generation, right? Whatever
Yeah.
it is, right? AI / generation. What it's doing is taking out some of the work that some of us deem robotic, and replaceable, and they want to speed that part of the process up. It's like the same thing when people started dropping MIDI packs and dropping hi-hat and melody MIDI packs. All right, now that I can drag and drop something, is it like it's the same argument, and it's, I don't know, man. It's the same thing as as loop arguments. I think it's going to help people tremendously.
You'll like, I think it could help people that want to learn more about, say, like basic music theory. To be like, oh, look, see, you know, the scale or whatever of C minor, whatever the fuck, and just be like, oh, these are the notes within it.
Bro.
And the more that you do that, the more that you see like, oh, these are the notes that are in this scale. And then by that, you know, like logic, F minor scale, what's in that? And then you see that, and you see like it's just helping.
And then at a point, does it become faster or even more creative for you now that you've learned from that feature? Is it faster for you to just bang out your own chords and play your own chords?
Yeah, before you know it,
what's faster and what's easier, what's better for you, what's in your workflow? At the end of the day, the only people that are complaining are producers. And our producers, our main audience when we're creating music and putting it out to the world, do you think the average listener is going to give a shit how you created it? They don't care. If it's good and if it hits them in the feels, then it's good. You know what I mean? And they don't care 100%. How it was made, who made it most of the time. As long as it makes them feel a certain way, that's all they care about. And we should stop worrying about stuff like this, man. Sure. It's the same argument. Is loops cheating? Is sampling cheating? It's the same argument to me.
The thing is,
it's tired. It's
all of it, you just gotta add your fingerprint to it.
Yep.
Because what will translate is if you do just take like the same tired ass loop as everybody else did and put that over some tired ass drum loop that everybody else knows about, people are going to hear that. And like, it's not that they're going to be like, oh, this is the fucking drum loop that he got from this pack or whatever. It's just like, it's not going to hit in any sort of unique way. So like,
that's a great way of explaining it.
The creative part is where you're going to make the difference between like just taking like the chord generator for what it does and then like plug and play into, you know, like your beat. Like that's not going to be some heat, but you just got to take that and start it off and go for it. Make it you.
Right. It's true. And the masses will decide when that happens.
Yeah.
Like the listener will decide when it gets to that point. You know, not an automatic generation is not going to get it to that point.
No,
it's just
hell no. It's a computer code.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like, of course it's not going to make the best music you've ever heard. You like AI art is not making the best art we've ever seen. Like it's still like the shit is when you go to a museum and see somebody who made some shit really crazy. But that dude probably painted that image from like some source material. You know what I mean? He was just like, he sat down, took a photograph of a lake, and then made a fire ass painting. That ain't cheating. That ain't cheating.
Yep. All right. So I think we can do the announcement for the 5 producers that are going to win my entire FL Studio and music production course suite, I'll call it. You know, probably, I said between like 40, 50 hours worth of courses. 5 producers are going to win all of my courses. And I'm going to go through the YouTube comments right now. I don't know if you could see it. You could see it, which camera, but I'm in the video in the episode from last week, and I'm just going to scroll. I'm going to go to, because right now it's in top. So I think I can I'll just go to the newest tab, and then I'll scroll. So I'm going to scroll like around like this. All right. So you ready? That's what we're going to do.
He's cheating.
He's cheating. And now I'm just going to stop there. And if I see the first, all right. So now some of them aren't. All right. So tripod, here we go. At Davver, DAVVER1, you are the first winner. I'm going to take a screenshot of that winner, and then we'll go on to the next one. So that's 1 out of 5. 1 out of 5. I'm going to scroll again. I'm not looking. No cheating. No cheating. Boom. All right. The next one is Loso Beat 403. Loso Beat 403. And then why not? We'll keep it random. Go on to the next one. And then we got... All right, so the first few comments are not the keyword. All right, here's another keyword. Dre Soul 2049. Dre Soul 2049. You are the third one. That's the third one, right?
I feel like I'm at like the DMV or something.
Yeah, we're playing bingo right now. Bingo! Everybody's mad at the old ladies for calling bingo.
Bingo.
All right, ready? Another one. This is number 4. All right. This one is Haystack Sniper with 2 R's at the end.
Hey, yo.
And the last winner. All right, let's go one last little boom. Let's see what it is. All right, right here. Ice in Flame. Ice in Flame. You are the last. So it's Ice in Flame _. You are the last winner of the entire FL Studio production course.
Some of these names are insane.
I know,
Ice and Flame.
Maybe we shouldn't do this next episode like this. Maybe I should pick them a different way. I'm gonna end up coming across a name that I don't want to read out loud. I'm like, just all right. I'll contact you. I'm not gonna say the 4th winner, but yeah. So the response in the comments have been insane. Episode came out yesterday, and there's already hundreds of comments. And it was, like I said, I can scroll for days, and they're going. And it's not all keyword either. People are going crazy. I got to go through there. A lot of great suggestions in the comments. So again, thank you so much for participating in the giveaways, watching, sharing the podcast. I truly appreciate it. We're doing this all for you guys, so that's why I want to give away as much value as humanly possible.
Right.
That's why we switched up.
And using the Larry Ohh masterclasses is not cheating. It's not cheating.
Some people might say
learning is not cheating.
Yeah. You don't learn the same way as me, so you cheated.
You didn't just,
Yeah. You weren't born with that knowledge, so you cheated. That gets me in the comments when some people will be like, yo, I knew this. I've been known that. I'm like, oh, I forgot. You must have been born with that knowledge. Like
right. He came out with a mouse.
So maybe you knew. Beats. So you knew about this before this video came out. Okay, but didn't somebody teach that to you? Like you didn't know that from birth, bro. Like you weren't born with that knowledge.
Right.
I hate when people try to put other people down for not knowing something before they knew it.
Yeah,
that's crazy to me. People will argue about anything and everything, bro.
It's silly, but it's losers. Like losers be about that. Like losers be about the oh, I'm gonna talk down on other people for like not knowing what I know. It's like, bro, each one teach one. You know that. You know what I'm saying? Like get hip or get lost.
Yep. So that's the giveaway. Stay tuned for the keyword. I know some people are probably fishing through the thing with AI, searching for the word keyword. So keyword, but I'm not saying it right now, so you gotta wait. Think I'm stupid? I know what's going on over here.
I know about AI.
But have you heard about the new plugin?
No.
Let me see if I can find it real quick. It's like a new version of Kepler. So you know how they created Kepler like probably like one update ago, I guess? Like Kepler's brand new. I haven't even looked at this thing yet. This thing looks crazy. It looks like a old vintage synth. Damn. Look at this. Just look at it. Would you look at it?
Oh my God.
Right?
Yeah. This looks like some shit from back in the day.
Yeah, bro. It's got like the wood grain on it. They're going vintage.
Yeah, we're going back.
Let me read up on it a little bit. Like I got the article pulled up here. So it's really in depth. It looks like, to me, this is more meant for people that want to sound design. I can right off the bat, I can see that, Kepler Exo, the new vintage synth plugin. Let's see. All right, here's the article. Let's read a little bit about it. It's under construction. Kepler Exo imagines the world where Juno 6 and Jupiter 8 synthesizers would have been if they were conceived in the age of the plug-in instrument. Very careful attention was paid to analyzing the oscillators, filters, and interaction of the controls to make a sound that does justice to the original classics. So it's like it's pretty dope. So
fucking with that.
Yeah. So just like the Kepler plugin, it was more so preset based, I guess, based around the Juno actual like piece of hardware synth.
Yep.
Now this one is like you can go crazy with it. You can go even more in depth with it. And sound design, if you're into it. Is there a list of presets, though? Because like I said, I'm a preset guy. No presets yet. So, is there a preset tab on here? Uh-oh.
It's a little click-through thing.
It's just starting off with a saw.
Yeah.
Sine. Sawtooth.
A little square wave or a saw wave.
Yeah, so that's pretty fire. There's another new one, another new mixing plugin called Spreader.
Oh, shit. Oh, shit. Hey, yo. They're getting zesty with this. First they saying XO,
I know.
and they saying spread them. Like, hey,
man.
yo.
Let's see. All right, new Spreader in the mixer. All right, so spreader looks like this. Obviously, I mean, it's going to be another stereo separation type of plugin, which I'm all for. I love
Love me
stereo
some
separate.
spread, bro.
Yep. Spread it like butter. Spreader widens the stereo image of your audio without affecting its compatibility with mono systems.
Oh, nice.
Wow. All right.
That's huge.
That might take me away from doing it inside stereo delay, because that can be like crazy harsh.
Yeah,
I
yep.
find it. So what I like to do sometimes with that, if I'm doing it, if you're unfamiliar with what I'm talking about right now, let's go to this, and I go to the pre-computed effects tab, and I use this stereo delay right here. This is crazy harsh. So you can go left or right, but I love using it. But if I do, and if it's like an important instrument that I want to do it on, like, you know, a melody or whatever it is, I'm very conscious of like not going too far with it.
Yeah.
And then if I do, and I'll go back and test my mix in mono real quick. I'll check it in mono. I'll do it so I don't forget early on in the mix while I'm doing that. So if I do like a big stereo delay with the inside the sampler, I'll go to my master, make it mono. Like, did I lose that? Did I lose certain elements that I want in that? And then I'll adjust it accordingly. Sometimes I'll leave the stereo delay there, but then in the mixer of that instrument, I'll go into the mono just a little bit to like kind of offset that, but keep some of that stereo delay property. So I'm definitely going to use the spreader. Let me just read a little bit more about it. That means that even if you listen to the audio on a mono speaker or a system that combines stereo channels into mono, it will still sound good. And then it has related plugins, stereo enhancer, the stereo shaper, which we know about. There is also a stereo control on the mixer track properties, stereo separation,
interesting,
visualize stereo effects with wave candy and vector scope.
I want to hear how they do that, because like, how do you do that? How do you make it? Because mono is mono, stereo is stereo. So if it's doing like stereo separation, but still like, you know, represented in the mono, then I'm wondering like how that's done, how that's achieved.
I don't know. It looks pretty cool though. You want to take a look at it real quick? It looks, you know, there's nothing crazy about it.
It's like one of those like like image.
It almost looks like the waves one. Do you remember? Do you remember seeing that one?
I've seen that before. Yeah.
It looks like that, like the window that they have right there. It looks like that, but the one that I'm thinking of, the waves one, has like a ton of features in it. Like you can move things around, like move these little circles, these little colored circles around.
Yeah.
Kind of looks like that window, but way easier to understand. So you just have a width knob, and you got, that's your stereo separation. If you go to the left, the percentage goes down. If you go to the right, the percentage goes up. And then you have a low bypass, a low frequency bypass.
Yeah.
So you can not affect the low frequencies.
The low end of
that is fire.
Huge. Yeah. I was just gonna ask, because so like sometimes you're sending the entire signal through and separating the like spreading the entire signal.
Yeah.
And there are plugins. Yeah, there are plugins where you can select frequencies that you want to widen out. So that's cool.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
A lot of times
that's probably what they're talking about, is like that feature using the low frequency bypass. That's probably how they achieve that, like, without messing with the field.
If I didn't want to do it, I think it's called like in parallel. I would do it in parallel. You might do it without even noticing sometimes, or what it's really like technically called. I'm pretty sure it would be like a parallel processing type of thing, where say if I wanted, I took a bass. Right? Let's say we have bass and a bass instrument, and I wanted to spread the mid and mid highs, right? Stereo separate them to make them sound a lot wider. But you want to keep the low frequencies completely mono. Like you want no stereo separation on those whatsoever. So sometimes I would duplicate the signal, right? And send one to one mixer track and another one to another mixer track, and EQ, like a harsh EQ, roll off the frequencies that I don't want in the high range, and then make that one completely mono, go to the next track, and now roll off all the lows up to that point, same point that I left off at over there, and then stereo separate those. So now you have kind of like in parallel, I guess that's what it's called. I mean, I can give us a listen. We're listening off the laptop speaker right now, but I'm gonna go drastic. I'm gonna go up. I'm gonna go low bypass. You can see it has a good little visual of how it's widening it.
Yeah.
This little like orange spiky looking thing.
I mean, I could be whining, but I feel like I still hear that. Like, even though it's coming out the laptop speakers, I feel like I can kind of hear what's being done.
Yeah, so I'm just messing around with the knob. I think that's a really cool feature.
Hell yeah.
That's an awesome, like,
That's dope.
that's an awesome plugin they added in there.
So necessary.
Those are the 3 major updates in 21.3 beta. So I'm gonna drop the link down for this also in the description. I put it in a YouTube video because, like I said, I already posted about this just to get the news of the Chord Generation out there as fast as possible because I just thought this was so crazy and things just happen so fast. So if you didn't see that video and you're watching this one, I'll leave the link down in the description to get beta. At this point, it's 21.3 or 21.299 the way they do it. It's still in beta, and it's not release candidate yet. So that's kind of how they go about it. It'll be like beta. It might be like a couple of versions of beta, and then it'll go, I think, release candidate 1 and 2, and then the drop, like whenever that drop is. So right now we're just in beta. I'll drop the link down there. It's obviously free to get. It runs in parallel with your other FL Studio, so it's not going to overwrite anything. A lot of people are worried about that. It installs a completely new version of FL. It's just in the beta version of it. So you'll have 2 versions of FL. It doesn't overwrite. You won't lose plugins. You won't lose samples. You won't lose anything. It's just cool to mess around with. And if you're in the forums, drop your feedback. You run into bugs. That's why they do this. I talked about it earlier, like the forums are where it's at. Forums are really where it's at. Like, you got to see how many people are in there. There's already like hundreds of, I don't know what you call them, like comments and tabs on just this one. And there's like 6 pages of people talking about it and putting in bugs that they've run across already. And it's been out for 5 days.
Sheesh.
And they're giving screenshots and screen recordings, bro. And these are just FL users. So yeah, those are the 3 major updates in 21.3 beta. It's Kepler Exo, Spreader, and the chord progression tool. But then there's like some minor ones that I guess we can mention real quick. There's one that's on startup. It says choose Edison to test in trial mode. I don't really know what that is. Then there's a playlist one. Choose action when sample is dropped on instrument tracks in the playlist. There's a plugin picker update. Improved search shows items with any of the letters typed.
Oh, okay. Finally.
That's that crazy looking plugin picker they're talking about, I think.
Okay.
2.
Because I know with the Control F, one thing that always bothered me was just like it would like stop at the first result instead of just showing you, you know, like everywhere that it pops up.
Yeah.
So
that's pretty cool.
I like that.
Yeah, I like these little minor. These are the ones that everybody forgets about and nobody talks about, and then they're like, "Yo, what happened? I didn't know that. When did that happen?" These are some of those because these other ones just overshadow because they're just so massive and everybody talks about them. People forget about these. So yeah, the plugin picker, the playlist. Oh, here's a playlist one. No, another plugin. No, my bad. I'm lost. All right, here we go. Playlist. Edit menu. Nudge clips with mouse wheel.
Okay.
Allows you to turn the shift plus mouse wheel nudge behavior on and off. That's cool. There's one for macros. This is a big one. Switch all audio clips to time stretching macros. That's going to be useful for a lot of sampling stuff. Tool buttons show if they're pressed when hovered. So that's something little, just like a little thing. MIDI out. They added a note off value selector for note controls. And then info panel, username replaced by a license number for privacy reasons. I like that because I like, you know, a lot of people do a lot of screen recording.
Yeah.
And I post a lot of tutorials, and I'm always conscious of cropping out my full name for some reason, like whatever, like it's a huge deal.
But take out a credit card.
Yeah. I mean, but I always I'm always aware of that.
Yeah.
That I crop that out in videos. So that's pretty cool. So now they're just going to put in, what are they going to put in again?
The license number?
A license number.
Okay.
For privacy reasons. That's pretty cool.
It's minor, but important.
Yeah, I like that.
Probably a bunch of lawsuits. Probably they were just like, oh, fuck.
I remember that's how they used to tell if you had a cracked version of FL.
Oh, yeah.
It would say like Team Air in there. I'm like, bro, like it's a hacking group. How can you leave that in your screen recording?
Yeah.
Then there's Mac OS, added all items from the main menu to the Mac OS application menu.
Nice.
And then a Windows one, they now use Blend 2D for the user interface for faster graphics with lower CPU. Pretty cool. And then there's a bunch of bug fixes. Bro, like look at the list of bug fixes already.
Dang.
The forums where it's at. I wish I could turn notifications on for the forums.
You say
Like
locked in, bro.
for big messages from FL only, maybe. I think it's keyword time. And the keyword for today is lamp.
Yeah.
The keyword for today is lamp. So comment lamp down below here on YouTube, and you will be entered to be one of 5 producers to win all of my FL Studio and production courses, mixing, mastering, vocal production courses, all of them are in there. So again, if you missed the last episode, the reason we're doing this, I wanted to provide more value to you guys. And I think, you know, 1 copy of FL Studio a week is really cool, and shout out ImageLine for doing that. But I think I want to provide a little bit more value and switch it up a little bit. And I think last week's went really well. People seem to respond really well to it. So we're going to keep that running for a little bit. We'll come back to some FL giveaways, and we'll make these giveaways even bigger and bigger as the episodes go on. We're still early in. We're only, what, 12? This is the 12th episode?
12 now.
Yeah, this is the 12th episode. So we're still early on. Very, very early. I think next week we can do some more reactions.
Yeah.
We did a lot of FL Studio news today. That's really what it was. I mean, when an update comes out, the entire episode just ends up being about the update. So, and with how much they've put into this one, I can see, you know, why that episode just flew by. Also, we're going to do more Guess That Plugin. We're probably going to have some more FL Studio news. So again, thank you for joining us. Make sure to like, comment, subscribe, and share this with a friend if you get me.